Ever wondered how the people around you can shape your life's trajectory? Yes, indeed, the company we keep has an undeniable influence on our life decisions, our mindset, and even our happiness. Just as a single ripple can cause a cascade of waves, the people we surround ourselves with can have a profound, rippling effect on our lives. It's been said that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So, imagine the impact when those closest to us are fostering negativity, sowing seeds of doubt, or simply draining our energy. It's like trying to sail against the wind. We all have different types of people in our life. Some uplift us while others pull us down. It's crucial to recognize who these individuals are and understand the role they play in our lives. Now let's delve into the types of people you might want to reconsider sharing your time with. First, meet Alice, who constantly felt drained around her friend Sarah. Alice was a vibrant, joy-filled individual, but every interaction with Sarah seemed to sap her energy. Sarah was a constant source of negativity, always complaining, always finding fault in the world around her. Alice found herself enveloped in this negativity, her own joy slowly diminishing. This is the tale of an energy vampire. An energy vampire, like Sarah, doesn't drain your blood, but your energy, your joy, your zest for life. Their constant negativity and complaints suck the life out of you, leaving you feeling drained, exhausted, and joyless. The impact of these energy vampires on our mental health can be significant. They can lead to increased stress, decreased motivation, and a general sense of malaise. Alice realized this and made a tough decision. Alice decided to distance herself from Sarah and soon noticed a positive shift in her energy levels. Next, we have Ben, whose friend Jake was always envious of his achievements. Ben was a hardworking individual, always striving to improve and achieve his goals, but Jake, his friend, was a green-eyed monster. He envied Ben's success, and instead of being happy for his friend, Jake let jealousy consume him. This envy manifested in snide remarks, belittling Ben's achievements and creating a toxic environment that began to seep into Ben's psyche. Ben found himself under constant stress, second-guessing his worth and accomplishments. The joy of achieving his goals was overshadowed by Jake's negative energy. Envy, as it turns out, can be a powerful destructive force. It can create a cloud of negativity, breed resentment, and lead to a considerable amount of stress and self-doubt. Ben realized the harm of keeping such envious people close. He chose to remove Jake from his life, and the difference was palpable. His self-esteem improved remarkably. He was happier, more confident. His story is a reminder that it's essential to surround ourselves with positivity, not green-eyed monsters. Emily had a friend, Lisa, who always found something to criticize. Lisa was like a broken record, always ready with a negative comment or a nitpicky critique. It was as if she had a magnifying glass for flaws, zeroing in on them with unerring accuracy. Every conversation with Lisa left Emily feeling deflated, her self-esteem punctured by a barrage of criticism. Emily began to doubt herself, her confidence dwindling with each interaction. It was a slow erosion, but the effects were profound. Lisa's constant criticism was like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over Emily's self-perception. She began to see herself through Lisa's critical lens, her self-worth distorted by the unrelenting negativity. The continuous criticism was detrimental to Emily's mental health. It was a toxic cycle, one that left Emily feeling drained and demoralized. But then, Emily made a bold move. She distanced herself from Lisa. It was a difficult decision, but necessary for her well-being. As she stepped away from the source of her distress, Emily's self-confidence began to rebuild. David had a difficult time realizing he was being manipulated by his friend Mark. David's story is a classic case of subtle manipulation. Mark, his friend, had a knack for twisting words, making David question his own thoughts and decisions. This is known as gaslighting, a common tactic used by manipulators. David noticed that Mark often made him feel guilty for things he had no control over, another sign of manipulative behavior. He would use David's empathy and kindness against him, making David feel like he was constantly owing Mark something. The psychological toll on David was immense. He began doubting himself, his self-esteem plummeted, and he felt perpetually anxious. It was a dark, confusing time for David. However, recognizing these signs was the first step towards liberation. David sought professional help and began the journey of distancing himself from Mark. This was not an easy task, but it was necessary for his mental health. Once David distanced himself from Mark, his life became significantly less complicated. Fiona found herself constantly in the middle of her friend Gina's dramas. This was a recurring theme in Fiona's life. Gina's dramas, both big and small, seemed to fill every corner of Fiona's existence. From the insignificant spats to the full-blown crises, Gina had a knack for roping Fiona into her world of chaos. This constant involvement in Gina's dramatic life began to take its toll on Fiona. She found herself mentally and emotionally drained, her peace of mind slipping away. The unnecessary stress was a heavy weight, pulling her down. As time went on, Fiona realized the importance of maintaining tranquility in her life. She began to understand that her own mental and emotional well-being was being compromised by Gina's never-ending dramas. So she made a choice to distance herself from the drama, from Gina. And guess what? Fiona began to see a change. Her life became calmer, more peaceful. When Fiona distanced herself from Gina, she found herself living a more peaceful life. Henry was uncomfortable with his friend Ian, who always gossiped about others. Picture a friendship strained by the constant hum of hearsay, a relationship where trust was like a sandcastle on the verge of collapse. That was the predicament Henry found himself in with Ian, his gossip-loving friend. Ian's insatiable appetite for other people's stories was like a thorn in Henry's side, an incessant buzz that grew louder with each passing day. This wasn't just idle chatter, it was a habit that bred mistrust. After all, if Ian could talk so freely about others, what was stopping him from sharing Henry's secrets? The negativity surrounding gossip is undeniable. It sows seeds of doubt, fuels misunderstandings, and tarnishes relationships. Henry could see the toxic cloud it cast over his friendship with Ian, and he knew something had to change. Henry's decision to distance from Ian led to a more trusting and positive social environment. By stepping away from the gossip, Henry found peace, trust, and positivity. His story is a powerful reminder to choose our friends wisely and to foster connections that uplift, not bring down. Carol was always met with negativity from her friend Nancy whenever she shared her dreams. Carol was a dreamer, her mind full of ideas and aspirations. But each time she shared these dreams with Nancy, she was greeted with pessimism. "You're not cut out for that," Nancy would say, or "That's too risky, Carol, don't waste your time." This constant naysaying began to chip away at Carol's self-belief. It's hard to soar when someone is always pulling you down, isn't it? Carol's dreams started to fade. She began to doubt herself, her abilities, and her worth, but then she realized something crucial. Nancy's negativity was a reflection of her own fears, not Carol's potential. So, Carol made a choice. She chose to distance herself from Nancy's constant discouragement, and in doing so, she rediscovered her self-belief. She began to chase her dreams with renewed vigor, no longer hindered by Nancy's pessimism. Carol began to believe in her dreams again once she distanced herself from Nancy. Paul realized his friend Quentin was only around when he needed something. Paul's story is a classic example of the user, a person who sees others as stepping stones rather than as individuals. Quentin had a knack for disappearing when things were good, only to reappear with a sob story when he needed a favor. This pattern left Paul feeling drained and undervalued. You see, a relationship should be about give and take, not just take. It's about mutual respect, understanding, and reciprocity. But with Quentin, it was always a one-way street. Every interaction left Paul feeling less like a friend and more like a resource Quentin could tap into whenever he pleased. It took some time, but Paul eventually recognized this toxic pattern. He made the difficult decision to distance himself from Quentin. In doing so, he opened up space for more fulfilling, balanced relationships. Paul found more fulfilling relationships once he distanced himself from Quentin. Let Paul's story remind us that we deserve relationships that make us feel valued, not used. Tina had a hard time trusting her friend Uma, who had a habit of lying. Tina wanted to believe in the friendship, but Uma's reality was a woven tapestry of half-truths and whole lies. Every conversation was a guessing game, a puzzle where the pieces never quite fit. Was Uma's cat really sick? Did she actually forget their coffee date, or was it all just another lie? This constant questioning eroded Tina's trust, not just in Uma but in others too. She found herself second-guessing people's intentions, questioning their honesty. It was exhausting, chaotic. Honesty is the backbone of any relationship, a pillar that holds up the structure of trust. Without it, that structure crumbles. Tina finally made a choice to protect her peace. She distanced herself from Uma, from the lies. It was a difficult decision, but a necessary one. And slowly Tina's trust in people was restored once she distanced herself from Uma. Over the course of this video, we've met several people who've made the tough decision to distance themselves from toxic individuals. We've seen how Alice broke free from the energy vampire, draining her spirit and zest for life. We've journeyed alongside Ben as he distanced himself from the green-eyed monster, a person consumed by envy. Emily taught us the importance of stepping away from the critic, the one who only saw flaws and never success. David, on the other hand, escaped the manipulator, the person who had a knack for twisting situations to their advantage. We've also seen how Fiona managed to distance herself from the drama magnet, the person who thrived on chaos and conflict. Henry showed us how to steer clear of the gossiper, the one who thrived on others' misfortunes. Carol, too, learned to ignore the naysayer, the person who always saw the glass half empty. Paul escaped the user, the person who only valued him for what he could offer. And Tina? She learned to identify and avoid the liar, the person who couldn't be trusted. Remember, the company you keep can shape your life. Choose wisely and live a happier, more peaceful life.